all I am focusing on in the spirit of this time is to embody and live my ideals and principles to the absolute fullest so that I can observe the reality that I want to observe inside this construct that is the reality that we live in. Because there is a difference between reality and truth. That which is real is not always true, but that which is true will always be real to some degree in one way or another. Now, how we perceive that is going to be totally subjective to our own experience. But what I am starting to question more and more is that if existence itself in this construct, this mathematical constructed reality, if existence is predicated upon observation, if the observation of something actually changes the way that we perceive things, well, then is it a real world? I don't think it would be considered a real world. This is a program. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I don't mean a digitized computer program necessarily. I don't consider it to be necessarily a computer, but you can liken it to a computer simulation. You can, but the thing is that your intentions in the construct of this reality don't really matter. Like, you can be great in your intentions, and yet you can fail miserably, or you can be terrible in your intentions. Like, you might be really, well, great, but terrible in your intentions, right? But then something positive might happen from that. But then again, positive and negative are simply ways of viewing the world that we live in. Good and evil exist, but they only exist because we think, and you think that they exist. This is not to say that we cannot be moral, because that's a totally different story, but I just can't believe anything anymore. I can't believe anything at all. I don't believe anything at all. I don't need to. I either can experience something in my own presence, because this is what the mythologies are always pointing to. If you think that the myths that we've studied for thousands of years, or that our ancestors have created for thousands of years, like the Greek mythologies, Egyptian mythologies, etc., if you think that these are all myths that are pointing to something out there, you're totally missing the whole point of the experience of what it's like to be alive, the eternal principle of living in accordance with nature. Now, what exactly does that mean? It means to just be who you are as what you are, not what you are as who you are. There's a difference. And so I just don't believe anything anymore. I don't really believe, I don't have a religion. And I want to be very clear about this, because the Regal Change old timers will be watching this video, and they will perceive that I am, if they're not caught up to date on my recent videos for the past month or so, they would not be very much so in tune with the frequency that I am now on. They're not tuning into this channel of frequency, so to speak. And the thing is that you don't really know what exactly you're dealing with until it's there now, right? Like, this is the observer effect in physics. And the observer effect in physics also says that things change based off of your perception of it and your observation of the perception in of itself. Even just the mere observation of it will change. And if you don't believe that, well, then look at the light slit experiment, for example. This is where you have light going through slits in a wall of sorts, right? That's projected onto another wall. When the light is observed, it acts as a particle and a wave. This suggests that faith in the consciousness of reality through light, because if you truly believe that the light of Christ dwells within you, or we are light, or love and light, or whatever it is that you perceive to be the case, if you perceive that, that means that your mere observation of what is actually happening can change and influence the way that you observe reality in of itself. You see, intentions don't really matter when it comes to observation of what's actually happening. And I'm not saying that intentions don't matter, but what I'm saying is that, again, for the Regal Change old-timers, you'll know that I've talked a lot about the Regal timeline theory. In the Regal timeline theory, there's 3 types of time that we observe, okay? And time only exists because we think it exists. But let's go back to that in a second. There's 3 types of time. Number 1 is watch time. You know, the sun rises, the sun falls, the moon rises, the moon falls, the moon has cycles, there's a clock, maybe you have a watch or something, whatever the case may be, right? That's watch time. Then there's individual time. This is your perceived sense of experience. It could be why time flies when you're having fun, right? Well, there's a reason that that's a saying. Or when you're bored and time just seems to be dragging on for an eternity and you're stuck, quote unquote, in time. You're in a time loop. Then you have event time. Now, event time is non-linear time. Now, why is this? Well, think about prophecies, for example. There are plenty of prophecies in the Bible that have come true, and that is something worth noting. Nostradamus is another prophetic individual. Many of his prophecies have come true. There's a reason why prophecies are so powerful, because it's an event time. It is individuals picking up on the patterns of consciousness through their own patterns of consciousness in timelessness. That is event time. So your intentions are not rewarded in event time. They're just not. You can't be rewarded for your intentions in event times, because what matters in the event is what is the event. And there's no cause of the event. And a lot of people might say, what do you mean there's no first cause? There's no cause of this? No. There's only a cause and an effect because you think that there's a cause and an effect. Okay, Jesus Christ says he's the beginning and the end. Okay, think about the Zeno's paradox. Zeno's paradox suggests that mathematically speaking, if you were to shoot an arrow, like Achilles shooting the arrow at a target, mathematically speaking, if we were to cut in half the distance from the release of the arrow to the target, half and half and half and half again, it would go on forever and ever, infinity. And yet, seemingly, we see that the arrow does hit the target eventually. How can this be? If we live in a mathematically constructed reality, then Zeno's paradox shouldn't be the case. And yet it is the case. It is the case that you can measure it for infinity, and yet the arrow will hit the target. So what exactly does this mean? It means that Zeno's paradox dissolves the meaning of we live in a real world. It's much like Schrodinger's cat. I've mentioned this in the last video that I did as well. Schrodinger's cat, quantum physics. If there's a cat that's poisoned inside of a box and the poison is let out at a random time, nobody knows. The only way to check if the cat is still alive and the poison was released is to actually open the box to check it. If we lived in a real world, you wouldn't need to open the box. You would just know, because there would be something that you can just know. But no, we live in an observable reality. That means that even though there's a mathematical construct in play, believing otherwise would not really do you any good, or depending on how you see it, it might not do you any good, or it will do you some good. Again, it'll be depending on how you see it and your perception of the observation and the observation of your own perception. That is what makes it so powerful. That's what makes life so cool. It's like when Jesus Christ also says, seek and you will find. Maybe what you're finding is the seeking. Maybe it's not a formula, like a mathematical formula. Maybe, just maybe, he's saying that when you seek, you're going to find out that, yeah, you're going to find the seeking. You're going to find the seeking. But everything will be added unto you. Why? Because you transcend the paradox of the mathematical construct. That's what's important. That's what's awesome. And so I don't adhere to religion. I don't adhere to belief systems. I don't adhere to any of these things. And I'm not saying that you should either, or that you shouldn't either. I want to be very clear that these things that I'm putting out into play are simply the structures. I'm explaining the structures in which you can explore on your own. I am the architect of these newfound understandings, specifically with the Regal timeline theory. I didn't come up with the simulation theory. I didn't come up with Zeno's paradox or Schrodinger's cat. I didn't come up with those things. But I do have a very specific type of lens that I know is going to revolutionize the psychology and spirituality of how we view this existence and how we view the soul of existence, or God himself. And I say God himself because I know that there will still be people that they don't understand the speaking plainly part. Like they think that whenever I say God himself, I don't really mean himself. Like I don't necessarily think God is a man. I don't think necessarily God is a woman. But perhaps if I were a hot chick, well then yeah, I'd probably believe God is a woman, because most hot chicks, like I made a video a long time ago, it was probably a few months back, maybe even a year ago, titled something along the lines of, "A godly man finds out what it's like to be a hot chick." And that was a profound experience where I started to realize that the true power that really attractive women have, once you have standards as a man, once you're actually operating on a path that you are embodying the ideals of your own spirit, you're embodying the ideals that you want to embody, that's a very powerful position to be in. And that takes true courage. That takes true commitment. And people, they don't want to try to read between the lines of people. They want to have seeing what they get. Like they want to see what they get, and they want to get what they see. But unfortunately, for many of you, like myself, there's going to be many people that will look at us, and yet we're going to be seen very rarely. This is something else I mentioned in a video recently as well, where we are looked at very often as spiritual people, but rarely are we ever truly seen, because to be seen means to be understood. And a lot of people will say they understand, but they have no fucking clue. They have no clue. And so I am not a nihilist. I'm not a nihilist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm not really a realist, though, either. I'm not really anything. I don't confine myself. And I think that there's true power in that, because I'm okay with uncertainty. I'm okay with being uncertain of who exactly I am, because ironically, in being accepting of being uncertain of who I am, that's where you find who you are. Again, seek and you will find, right? There's something very powerful about these things. There's something very powerful about the story. And I think that the narrative of what we tell ourselves, and if we truly trust, not have belief or faith necessarily, but we have trust, because to have trust is to participate actively in a relationship. If you do not have a relationship with the soul of existence, or you do not have a relationship with the people around you that you actually feel like maybe you can get along with, or have an ideal type of ideal with them, like an ideal of an ideal with them, then you're really wasting your own time. You're seeing design flaws, and you're letting these design flaws dictate how you maneuver in your reality, or you're not seeing design flaws and you're letting your ignorance lead you into deception. And there's a third option, though, that you can do. You can see the design flaws. You can see the paradoxes, right? You can see the mathematical paradoxes. And yet, you can also get a profound sense of understanding what this reality and what this experience of life is truly about. And that is that you don't really have to know. You don't have to know anything. All you need to know and all you need to be concerned with is what you need to do in this moment. Maybe even nothing. That's it. Maybe what you need to focus on right now is nothing. Maybe everything you need to focus on right now is the next step, because it's part of the evolution process. But you don't need to get so hung up on always doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Because again, in event time is non-linear. So what exactly does this mean? This means that your past does not have to have a causal link to the effect of the now. That means that you can truly break free from all these stories and narratives that you play inside your mind, so that you can truly transform yourself into the man or woman that you know you can be. You don't have to be limited in the way that people think that you should be. And I'm so tired of seeing all these religionists or these women who are now all of a sudden they're coming closer to Jesus Christ, or they're coming close to all these different types of maybe Muslim or whatever the case is, after they've participated in all these degenerative behaviors, and now they're grifting to get some money. If I were speaking about things that I knew would get money and involved with, like, for example, this is one of the reasons why I don't believe anything anymore about, especially online, is that you'll see people online complain about how terrible social media is, and then they'll go out and they'll make a video about World War III, and they'll get caught up in the news cycles and the media and all that, and they're just promoting. There's a difference between promoting fear and talking about what they have planned for us and why they have planned for us these things. Why do they want us to know about these things? There's a difference, right? Because I might make a video and it might have a provocative title. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to shock you into being awake. I'm not trying to deceive you. I'm not trying to get... Now, look, don't get me wrong. I'm getting money from this, of course. And why shouldn't I want to do that? Why shouldn't I want to be monetizing my own thoughts? If I'm truly as awesome as I know I am, well, then why shouldn't I be paid for my own thoughts? Why shouldn't I be paid for my own insights and observations within the observable base reality that I live in? Why shouldn't I be paid for that? It's ludicrous, the amount of people that don't really respect money. I'm not saying I worship money, but I respect it. I understand the need for it in this physical domain. However, I also am very aware that this is a very, very much so materialization of the spirit that is within you and around you. The cultures that we live in, the societies that we live in, don't want you to know about this stuff, because if you did, you'd be able to free yourself from the shackles of religion, and you'd be able to free yourself from the shackles of all of these other programs that they want you on, so that you stay stuck in the precipitation of the time loop. They never want you to have an event in which you experience a eternalization breakthrough, where you experience the moving image of time, as Plato would call it. You experience the moving image of time, and through that, you experience the eternality of life itself. And that is a very beautiful thing. That is a very cool thing. And the issue is that if you focus on trying to see what's out there and not what's happening in here at your heart, Jesus Christ also said, where your heart is, there also will be your treasure, right? Hello. Like it's about the heart. It's about self-compassion, learning how to love yourself. That's what this is about. Learning how to love yourself and just letting go of the need to believe or have this or have that or whatever, and participate in these systems without any true structure. They're just feel-good, tickling your ears type of structures. They're not even structures, they're just systems. Fake systems, terrible systems. They're not even like an actual structure. That's what you want to stay away from. And that's why I don't believe anything, or I can't really believe this anymore. I can't believe anything that we're seeing. I just can't. Especially with all of the AI stuff coming out. Do you know and do you realize how much AI is out there? Like, the internet is going to be soon made up of AI only. And so I think we're already on that trajectory. It's just a matter of time. But how we perceive that, again, this is why it's important that your authenticity, anyone who is truly authentic is not afraid of AI. Not at all. Nobody's afraid of AI if you're truly authentic. Because you know that nobody can replicate you, not even AI. They can mimic you, but they can't replicate you. Truly, they can't. They can mimic you, though, because you were made with an energetic signature that emits an electromagnetic radiation into the energy field of this mathematical construct. But the mathematical construct is so much more than we think. And yet, at the same time, it's so much less than we think. So don't get too hung up on free will or belief or whatever. That's at least the way that I'm living. And I've had a lot more peace with it. I've had a lot more peace. Because I don't have to try to be anything or have to try to do this or do that. I can just be what I need to be and embody what I want to embody and let the chips fall where they may. So with all that being said, I hope this is a useful and insightful message for you. Stay blessed. Peace. Until next time.